And I part company with Martin Bernal on the issue of white racism is bad, black racism is tolerable, because after all, blacks have suffered so much from white racism, and historically whites have not suffered in any proportion of the way blacks have. Racism in any form is counterproductive. It's also disgusting. I think that it's also, I say counterproductive because it's counterproductive for the black students themselves. That is, what they should be getting at is an accurate and clear picture of the past. They should correct the distortions in history, but without creating a whole new distorted model. Because in the end, if their own picture of their own past is built on distortions and lies, it does them no good. It'll crumple apart at the first opposition.
So I'm saying we've got to begin to deal with the reality, and we can't expect the Bernals to do it. They've done their job by taking us to a certain level. We have to go beyond it.
I mean, the search for roots and origins is essentially an affirmation of identity. Ethnic identity, religious identity, historical identity, national identity. And that is almost always a construction. There is no such thing as a pure Greek or a pure Egyptian or a pure anything. Everything is hopelessly mixed up together. And I don't see why they couldn't remain mixed up together. I mean, it seems to me that's the reality of the world of the 90s.
Should we be actually concerned about who the Greeks were by blood, or should we be asking about how they constructed their own past? I actually think to even ask the question, who were the Greeks really? Were they black? Were they Jewish? Is to fall into a racist trap. What we've got to do is abandon altogether these myths of ethnicity, myths of ethnic origin, and we have to abandon both the myth of the Aryan origin and the myth which he's trying to replace the Aryan model with, of the Egyptian Semitic origins of the Greeks, and ask why their ideology works how it does. What are these myths actually saying?
Whether or not his work is welcome to all classicists, Bernal intends to continue his project. The second volume of Black Athena is due out in the spring, and there are 2 more to follow. He firmly believes the Aryan model will crumble, but he has many academics yet to be convinced with his evidence.
There are lots of very interesting new ideas and approaches in classical studies about the place now. Some are motivated partly politically, partly by other current interests in racism, feminism, whatever it might be. They all make their contribution. They're all, most of them at any rate, a good deal less hot-headed than they might have been a generation or so ago. And they all help. But if we say to ourselves, yes, of course, we realize that each generation takes its own view of the past, or each faction in each generation will take its own view, the honest scholar ought to be able to make some sort of allowance for that. And one hopes that the common view which emerges will take allowance for that, and one can recognize, as one does, that is a feminist work, that is an anti-racist work, this is a structuralist work, this is a Marxist work, and so forth, and make due allowance. And that the single-minded who write these sort of things are making their points, no doubt, but they're not making such a major contribution to our proper understanding as they may imagine.
Well, I think that the accusation has often been leveled at me, and I'm sure it's been thought by many other people, that if I accuse other scholars of being influenced by their times and by their social backgrounds, I myself must be equally influenced by them. And I think that there's some truth in this accusation, but my defense against it would be that my version is closer to the traditional version held for the last 1800 years or more, last 2000 years. And I think that the Aryan model is more of an aberration than mine.